evening, and welcome to another super secret project sketch. This is Eric Whalen from Super Secret Project X, and I got a little closer from last time.
You got it.
And all that good stuff.
Sorry.
It's alright, I'm laughable.
No, it's not you. It's just somebody who sent me a thing of actual Christian music post or album covers. Mike Crane, Karateist Preacher, God's Power.
Well, there you go.
Awesome. Yes, hello everyone.
Yes. Anywho,
Hi.
now that we've gotten around Christian foo, today we are, mostly because they released like the greatest Blu-ray of Project ACO probably ever. I mean, this thing is freaking fabulous. And I plan on watching it again. It was kind of mesmerizing, the amount of detail in this. But with it, they had all these model sheets and production artwork and stuff on the Blu-ray, so I was like, I want to redraw these characters. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to redraw these characters. Because I probably did an okay job last time, but I kind of want to do better. So, today is ACO from Project ACO. There we go. Good enough for me. Not a super complicated design, but I don't care. I like it. This is back in the 80s where mammoth hair was a must, and I gotta say, it's not something that has to happen, but I sure do enjoy it. So it's like, because I was alive during the 80s, and some hair was awesome, but then there were people that just took it to a degree where you're like, that doesn't work on a real person.
I think the 80s was just the Aquanet alone was responsible for like the ozone layer hole. Or at least about a good 15% of that getting destroyed.
Well, to me, part of the problem with real giant 80s hair is most people did not have enough hair follicles to pull it off. So it ended up just looking freaking awful. But the people who did like really pull off the giant hair thing, pretty awesome on some people. On other people, no. But on cartoons, it was like always optimal. No, not always optimal. There were some shows where it was just like, it just didn't work. But a lot of them did. And loved ACO's giant freaking hair.
Yeah, I think with the 80s, when you didn't have the giant hair, then you just had bangs. And you made sure you had like massive, or at least showy bangs and stuff. So I mean, the whole like ultimate bangs thing started coming into play, was like cartoon-wise and stuff from like mid to late 80s, because that's where a lot of my stuff comes from. When I draw characters, I give them bangs because of cartoons from that time period, which was coming from the bang. The bang fang.
The bang fang?
Yes. Of the.
I'm fairly certain there's an adult film named that.
Probably.
Yo, baby, have you met the bang fang?
If there isn't, I will be sorely disappointed.
Oh, so would I. If you're gonna go all the way.
Go big or go home. Oh, I go home.
Well, then he ain't going big. It's that simple.
Porn.
So basically what I'm doing, start with a globe, circle, but in my head it's a globe. The head and eye line, center of the face. None of this stuff has to be perfect initially, you just need to kind of get it down just so you can pre-visit. Make sure the head isn't too big, make sure the head isn't too small. I feel as if her hair might be getting up near the edges but shouldn't be going over. I kind of want to fill the page on this one, or at least a good chunk of it, maybe. And then you can kind of go in and go like, okay, well, if the edge of the globe is there, I can kind of put the edge of the eye socket, which, by the way, that little dent on characters is usually the edge of the eye socket, or the meat next to the eye socket, one of the two. But there's a dent there, so the meat, getting the meat in there.
A random thought just still cracks me up. Is it in the book of is it book of Ecclesiastes? In the Bible, one of the most metal Bible verses. This city is a cauldron, and we are the meat.
To be fair, that is pretty metal.
That's one of the most metal verses.
We are the meat.
The city is a
Cauldron, and we are the meat. We are the meat.
It's a New Testament verse. It was like one of the apostles. I say it was Paul was doing one of the letters, and yeah.
Was it like a Rob Halford letter? Jesus is my turbo savior.
That was a random thing, but anyway.
I was about to say that was like.
We were talking about meat, and that just popped into my head.
So I'm talking about meat, and you immediately go for Bible verses.
Well, that particular one.
Admittedly, metal Bible verses. I'm not going to argue that. You're right. That's pretty metal. I mean, there's no joke there. You're like, yeah, that's. In my head, I'm drawing Aiko going like, dude, what would Jesus look like in like studded leather pants?
Give him the mohawk.
I'm not so sure about the mohawk,
Oh,
but
that's
like
punk,
that,
yeah.
like the Rob Halford look with like the the leather German cap. I'm not trying to be blasphemous here. I'm just going like, what would that look like? I'm just saying that you've gotten me curious. Anywho, Aiko, we just went down a particularly strange road.
We're good for that. So it's been a bit of a past couple of days for me. So I'm a little scattered.
Well, I've been editing the book now for weeks. I've finally got it done, so I'm a little fried. That's one of the reasons why I was kind of like, I think I better be drawing one of my old favorites here. When I set the schedule up in the newsletter, I was just kind of foreseeing this. I'm like, I'm going to be burnt in like a week. I'm going to be so burnt. Unfortunately, I'm not too burnt, but I'm a little burnt. So much so that I was having visions of a Rob Halford version of Jesus in my head. So if that ain't a little burnt, it's just a little something.
I was thinking more of Jesus. Oh shit! What's the song? Jesus built my hot rod. Yes.
Rob Zombie.
Yes.
Yes.
No, not Rod. That's not Rod Zombie.
No, it's
Excuse me. It's
Isn't it?
No, that's
Blanken.
That's one dude. Oh crap. The.
Anyone out there in TV land know the answer?
I know the answer. It's right there.
If there is one,
Yeah,
there must be. I mean,
it's the god, the old rocker that talked like this, and would just say the crazy things, and old British guy who just didn't give a darn.
see, I'm not even sure what you're talking
Alright,
about at
I'm
this moment.
looking it up now because I have it on my.
My baby's a little toasted.
You know what?
I'm just saying. We've been a little all over the place today. I mean, like worse than normal. No, okay, slightly worse than normal. We are pretty bad normally.
Alright. I'm gonna get this down. Look up my list.
Okay, any ACO fans out there? Yes, I'm making the ears higher and larger than they're supposed to be. I love Project ACO, but their little tiny low ears drove me crazy. And I realize part of that is to accentuate the hair and just make it like. But I can't handle that. Plus, I think perky ears are not only visually interesting, because check this action out. You can see it on the other side of the head. But I think they're super cute. And if you're going to draw a super cute character, I want to maximize that as much as possible without getting so gooey and sweet you get cavities. So that's 2 weekends from now when we do Seiko. That girl's pure sugar.
Oh man.
Diabetic levels of sugar. Okay. Just going to try to get the scale of this hair proper.
Ministry. That was the name of the.
Ministry.
Yes.
Okay. Jeez.
But I was thinking
You
of
know-
the wrong guy. I was thinking of the dude who was in Motorhead.
Oh, Lemmy.
Lemmy. Yeah, that's the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah, I know Motorhead better than I know Ministry.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, when you are in a mean mood, Motorhead, holy crap.
I got a few of their songs.
Yeah. Some of them are cheesy and fun in like an angry way, but some of them, like Brotherhood of Man, wow, is that a dark song. That is about as negative as you can get without being laughable. You can get darker, but it gets pretty funny at that point, so.
Yeah, I usually keep it, well, the ones I have on my list are usually a bit more like, I don't want to say fun, but a bit more very like more upbeat kind of.
Oh, well, they do have some stuff
And
like
to me,
that.
I love Ace of Spades.
Ace of Spades is good.
And then their version of Enter Sandman was really good too.
Yeah, it's plus and I know all the pro wrestling fans, and I'm not going like pro wrestling. I'm like, no, but King of Kings, was that it? That was what was it? Triple H's walkout song. I don't care that it was made for wrestling or not. It is a cool like 3 minutes. It's just I am the King of Kings. Especially with Lemmy's voice.
He was awesome. He just
He
seemed like he
was.
was the guy who loved his craft, and he just.
The thing was is that whether you liked him or not, that was somebody who lived exactly how he wanted to live. He didn't give a crap about anything.
Yeah.
And that's what was actually kind of great about the guy. You're going like, oh, I believe you. You know,
Yeah, he seemed really authentic in pretty much everything he did. So.
like it was a dark moment, was one of my favorite Lemmy moments, is when he was much older, he was being interviewed. It was after one of his shows. Actually, it might have been it was one of his shows. And the guy was going like, trying to get him to do the whole like, you're a metal god, blah, blah, blah. He's like, so where's all the hot young chicks, blah, blah, blah. And this is when he was like 60, maybe getting close to 70 at this point. And the thing was, it wasn't a funny moment. It was actually a dark moment, but it was telling. It's how honest he was. He just looked at the guy and he goes, do you see any? He's like, the whole crowd out there is cheering for me. They love me. He's like, but do you see any women? Do you think any of them actually really want to be here? And he was that honest. You're going like, wow. There wasn't even any of that like rock bravado left. He was like, you see any? I was like, wow. A little dark, and can appreciate the honesty. You know, you're like, oh wow, that's. Yeah, I guess I got to a point in my life where I'm just tired of the bull, and like the honesty's like
It's welcome. Like this.
very welcome. You know, it's like when somebody goes like, man, I hate to tell you this, but like, let's just say, dude, your shoulders stink or whatever. You know, dude, your shoulders stink. You're like, oh, you're like, oh, thanks for telling me. It's like, don't cover, don't try to sit there and like save my feelings. Just tell me.
Right.
Is that feeling right? I feel as if the hair should be a little lower in the front. But yeah, that's I saw that in Lemmy. I was going like, oh, that dude is honest. You gotta love that.
Yeah. And I respect that. That's,
There's a lot of bull in Hollywood and entertainment. Where you're going like, I don't care about the bravado.
mm-hmm.
I know you're not some kind of an impossible being. Just give me the truth.
Right. I don't know who you're trying
Dude.
to.
We all know your shoulder stick. As weird as that sounds. You don't need to make it up. It's like all the internet personalities where they're online being like these completely impossible figures.
Right.
And there's just and there's people out there that actually believe this stuff. You know, you're like, yeah, this guy really sits around with like sports cars and half-naked women around his mansion all day. That's literally what he does all day. Come on.
Yeah, there's actually.
As a matter of fact, I would actually kind of feel sorry for somebody like that if it was true. It's like, look, you want a nice car, you want a nice house, half-naked women. I ain't gonna judge, but it's also like I kind of feel the need to have a little more, something interesting. Not to say a bunch of beautiful naked women around you is a bad thing, but that's why I do my art and my writing and painting and stuff. It's like,
There was this one artist did this comic, and I still have it on saved on one of my somewhere, and just has like it's like beautiful houses and has a picture of drew a picture of a mansion.
careful now.
Yep. Like beautiful houses. It's like fancy cars. There's all these cars that he drew. It's like hot women, like pictures of hot chicks that he drew. He's like, yeah, I draw them all. It just has the picture of the artist just looking like just kind of like this sad, pathetic kind of guy. Like, beautiful houses, fancy cars, gorgeous women. I draw them all.
Hey, I'm just proud of the fact that we've got a small, decent condo. We've got heat in the winter, and we eat pretty well. That's
Yeah,
pretty good for me.
yeah, that's
I'm just
all.
glad I have an opportunity to be able to actually sit here and do this. There's people out there that don't even have that, so.
Yep, exactly. Anyway, with Echo.
Anyway, we actually have a number of guests. Not that you should feel the need to actually message anything. I'm totally fine with it. But it's nice to have you. Thank you.
Where at? 'Cause I'm not seeing anybody on.
According to this, we have 4 viewers, and if that's one of them,
Yeah.
we got about 3.
Because I'm not seeing anybody on chat. On Twitch here.
Well, that's fine. They don't need to.
Okay, I see that.
They don't need to chat or nothing. The
Oh,
fact
yeah,
that they're
just
here
let-
is nice.
Hello, hi everybody.
Hello, everybody. How are you happy people doing? It's so funny. You sit there and you're like, man, I see if I can get the scale of this hair right, and you're like, I think I'll give myself enough room, and then you're like, oh crap, maybe I didn't. Just trying to proportionally get it about right. Actually, I may have oversized that just a little bit. It's kind of fun that I oversized it just a little bit. Though I do feel I do need to shave just a little bit of that off. Because that is about a pound too much of hair.
Yeah, just looking here, I can see. There's a little bit. That's a lot of hair.
Well, thing is she's got a lot of hair. There we go.
Yeah.
But yes, the Blu-ray of Project Echo. Absolutely glorious. I also happen to like the Project Echo, and for there, some people are not into it. Fine, that's you. I love Project Echo, and I love the weird trivia of Project Echo. It was one of the few licenses I am aware of from essentially an animated porn company that went, you know what? Let's not do porn this time. You know? That's kind of great. You know? No, we're good with it. We're not being prudes or anything, but how about this time they stay clothed? You know? And so you just get, and it's a funny movie. I think they looked at their concept and went, you know what, this is so freaking funny that the porn stuff just gets in the way. Mm-hmm. You know? And they went in and they created, frankly, a gloriously funny, slapsticky movie that makes fun of its own industry. I mean, it legitimately looks at, I mean, if they did this by accident, I'd be kind of surprised, but it really seems as if they looked at anime and went, you know what? This is pretty goofy. And it's also fabulous. Let's do something that's that, but is also kind of absurd about it at the same time. Oh, it's just so good.
I remember that was also, I think, one of the first ones that you guys showed me when we had the
Project Ako's mandatory viewing for me. That's
yeah. And I remember really just liking the character because it was just so madcap and weird.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And it's funny because she, in a sense, and this is me comparing it now and stuff, but it's basically like Pippi Longstocking, but it's everything I liked without Pippi Longstocking. Because for some reason, I just don't like Pippi Longstocking.
Pippi Longstocking is obnoxious, but the base idea, I really like the base idea.
Same here. It was one of those ones where I really tried to like it as a kid, and I should have liked it, but for some reason, she just really annoyed me.
Well, I love the concept of a super-powered child that just irritates the heck out of adults and they can't stop her. I mean, it's not like a revolutionary idea, but it is funny. I mean, it's funny. With Project Ako, it was just like everything about it is unapologetically ridiculous. Like everything. Every element, every scene, there's something about it that's just boldly absurd without it being like there's some shows that they're so absurd you sometimes don't understand what's happening. Yeah. This one, you understand what's going on. It's just really absurd. I mean, the plot alone is almost completely nonsensical except for the fact that it works. Okay, for those out there that don't know the plot of Project Ako, Ako and Seiko are new at a school. I know, revolutionary, right, I know. Anywho, they bump into a girl named Biko. Oh, by the way, there's also a character named D. Biko, and as it turns out, Biko is mind-numbingly in love with Seiko, which basically appears to be, I guess, 11 years old. They're all like 15 or whatever, but there's this so unbelievably clear, like, super lesbian rich girl that's really into the little cute blonde chick that shows up, and her cute yet still brute of a best friend, Ako. And Ako is, yes, a brute. They hint that her mom is Wonder Woman and her dad is Superman. They don't come out and say it, but they kind of show it and sort of hint at it very strongly. So,
mom has a apron that has a double,
the Themysciran stuff on it, yeah.
And then Dad's reading a newspaper about...
It looks like the Daily Planet.
Yes, it actually says, like, it's misspelled, but it says Daily Planet.
It basically says Daily Planet. And her Wonder Woman mom is shaking out her dad's t-shirt that sort of looks like a Superman shirt. So, I mean, they just didn't care. They were going like, no, we don't care. No one's going to sue us. Because it's Japan in the 80s, and they didn't really do that back then. Such a shame things have changed. Anyways, so Biko wanting Seiko, challenges Eiko to a death match every single day. But Biko doesn't have superpowers, so she uses her mind in the form of creating giant robots that Eiko has to fight on a daily basis. That all changes when the alien invasion occurs, as the aliens are looking for their lost princess. And as you were assuming, their lost princess is Eiko, because that's what the story is sort of hinting at, because, superpowers, blah, blah, blah. When they show up, they end up kidnapping Seiko, which is apparently a long-lost princess from space, which why not?
Sure.
And then, and during this abduction, a massive fight starts over the city between the Earth Defense Force and, the aliens, where Eiko and Biko are fighting to the death, and Seiko gets kidnapped. So instead of fighting to the death, now they're like, well, we got to team up for like 5 minutes to go save, Seiko, because we're not going to take this opportunity to be finally rid of this obnoxious little character, which I love, but she's obnoxious. Super freaking obnoxious. And then, of course, they end up fighting the aliens, and it's just the most ridiculous comedic action romp possible. I mean, I'm not making fun of it. I actually like it, but it's absurd. That's why it's kind of amazing. It's just wonderfully absurd. It just keeps going. You're like, and the thing is it's like an hour and 20. I think it's like 83 minutes or something.
Not very long, yeah.
So it's not like it's super long. It's not like it's super deep. It's not like it's... But you just end up just giggling continually because everything about it is so ridiculous. And they weren't planning on ever being sued, so there was a bunch of stuff that they were just making fun of anime. There was all sorts of famous characters everywhere, and it was just great. Like, one of Biko's thugs is Marie, which is a giant little girl who looks like Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star.
I love her because when she's just standing there, she has like this deep manly grunt, and then she talks like a little girl. Oh man,
so funny. She has two voice actresses or
that
actors.
slayed me the first time I saw that.
It's so funny.
I freaking lost it.
It's a great movie. It's just like, it's nothing... There's nothing serious about it. It's just a good time. That's why it's great. It's just a good time movie.
Right.
And I would just imagine, I think it was 1988 or somewhere around there. Anyways, I can just be imagining being in Japan in the summertime in 88 or whatever, and going to go see that in the afternoon with popcorn and pop and just giggling unendingly. That must have been a great Japanese 80s memory for some kid. It just... Because I think I saw it in 92 when they did the U.S. Manga Corps release here on VHS. I had no idea what it was. I picked it up because it had a crazy cover, and then I stuck it in one afternoon when I got home from probably Suncoast Video. I know, old stuff. I know. Anywho, I stuck it in, and I had no idea what I was in for because I was so new to anime. Because a lot of kids in those days that were into that were so new to it because anime was, for most people, super new.
Didn't know what it was.
And so I saw that, and I just was laughing. I mean, out of control, because it's beautifully animated. It's not perfect, but like there's moments where the quality drops just a little bit. Like you could clearly, the number of animators in this movie is redonkulous, just ridiculous. And so there was clearly a lot of people just getting it done, and you could tell the couple scenes here and there where the quality dropped, or somebody was like working at 4 a.m. animating it.
I mean, a lot of the in jokes and stuff were actually talking about some of the
We're,
animators.
we're complaining
Yeah.
about their bosses. Like, you can see it written on the screens. I am so sick of this. They're having me work at Christmas Eve, blah, blah, blah. And it's on blinking on the computer screens in Japanese. Like, I hate my boss. He's making me do this. You know? Like, it's really funny. On the same note, I'm not laughing at the fact that there was some poor guy probably legitimately being forced to work at 3 in the morning, Christmas Eve, getting it done. But on the same note, it's this weird product where you're actually seeing that on screen, and you're
Yeah.
like their bosses either didn't see it and let it slip, or went, "That's funny, keep it in." You know?
Well, nothing we can do. It's already there.
You know what? Keep it in. It's hilarious.
Well, that was like if they try to even take it out, it's probably going to push production back another like.
I think that's
3 or 4
exactly
weeks, so
why.
they're like, you know what?
Forget
What
it.
can we do?
Keep it in. We got to get this ready for the whatever month it came out in. Well, so far, this isn't too bad.
Yeah, it's looking right.
Yeah. I think I overdid her hair slightly right here. Bring that down. Yeah, that is feeling too freaking huge. There goes another pound of hair. Right on. Oh, Eiko-chan, take a buzzer to your head. There you go. It's funny. I was young when I first watched this, so it didn't occur to me how young these characters were. She's basically the same age as Sailor Moon. so which is like 14, 15. You know?
She was like 16 or 17.
Well, they said it was 10 years after kindergarten that this was happening, so how old is
That's
somebody in
right,
kindergarten?
That's right.
Aren't they usually about 4 or 5?
Yeah.
And not that I'm an expert, I haven't been around kids
Yeah,
in
that's
so
right. We
long.
did have that discussion. Yeah, around 15. Yeah.
Close enough. I'm going to switch over to heavier lead now. Oh, but yeah, the reason why I like Project Eiko is just the sheer absurdity of everything. Just adore it. And the action sequences, I still say, are some of the best. Like, they have these wonderfully interesting moments. Not, like, super original, but still, just, they're so absurd that they were kind of going like, hey, we're going to be funny doing this, so why don't we make a great action sequence where we can be a little absurd?
Right.
The scene where Eiko and Biko are throwing tanks and alien mecha spiders at each other, while those tanks and alien mecha spiders are trying to have an actual serious battle. Meanwhile, 2 15-year-old girls are just knocking the crap out of them.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Like, it was all, like, serious, like, hard rock, heavy metal action stuff, and then 2 schoolgirls come in and just start beating 2 different militaries up in their ridiculous fight over, you know, Seiko of all characters.
It's just, yeah, it's always funny. It's like, why in the world? That's always been one of my questions. Like, why in the world is it one of the Japanese tropes of having the most obnoxious character being the center of attention? Is it the whole like cute factor thing, and the whole like looking like a big brother, big sister? I know that whole trope and stuff like that.
I feel that there's a natural absurdity to it that they find funny. Because I find it funny.
I can see that.
That's my guess, but do I actually know? I have no idea. I really don't. Maybe they're actually like, yeah, the more obnoxious a chick is, the better. Maybe that's real. I don't know. That could be a thing. That could completely be a thing for all I know.
Yeah. Who knows? But it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a different culture, and frankly, I haven't even visited the country, so Who honestly knows? Well, I mean, clearly an entire island nation would know, but I mean, clearly they could probably tell me, and then I'd need subtitles, because, like, I even speak the language. Right? I mean, oh yeah, I'll just quickly understand everything. I've seen some cartoons.
You're telling me you don't have the confidence of
No. Of a fanboy?
was
No.
it the online fanboy?
I know everything because I really like it. Okay. I like a lot of things, and I don't know anything.
No, I don't. And you don't either. Shut up.
Yeah, I used to be that guy in such a terrible way, and now I'm just like, I know nothing. I wish I knew everything. I don't. I know nothing.
Anyway,
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm just totally guessing here. That's actually why I liked Project Echo so much, because there's these moments where you're like, what? What is happening? It's not that this is like so Japanese you can't get it. I don't think that's it. But they clearly were like, yeah, we're gonna do this wild thing, and we don't care if anyone gets it. Like at one point in time, Biko just turns into a baseball player. I'm like, what is happening? Why is that happening? I'm assuming there's some kind of joke there that I'm not getting. I mean, that's gotta be it. But they clearly didn't care if I understood that joke or not. They're like,
Well, they threw so many in jokes in there anyway, especially with a lot of just like cultural in jokes. And
oh,
stuff,
sure.
So.
Well, the thing is even that's what's actually nice about Project Echo is it's so not deep. I can't imagine a lot of the cultural jokes are all that deep. Like it's just they were so clearly like just a bunch of 20-year-old guys sitting around, probably with a lot of beer and cigarettes, just being doofuses animating a movie.
I would say probably like 20 to 40 somethings.
Oh, I'm sure there were older guys there, but like it was like the director was like 25 or something. You know, which I just went like, wait a minute, what? And so I'm kind of imagining that there was the old guard sitting there, but I'm also imagining the sheer number of just young guys sitting there going like, I got an idea. You know, like, it's like one of my favorite bits where they were asking the director, like, yeah, there's sort of a not so much implied lesbian kind of want of Biko to Seiko. And he's like, they're like, do you think it was because it was a bunch of guys animating? He was like, are you kidding me? Most of us were drunk early 20-year-olds. He's like, I have no doubt that's why that was there. He's like, it's also probably why there was a bunch of exploding spider tanks and cute schoolgirls like punching each other through walls. We were just being huge dorks. And I'm like, well, I appreciate that honesty. You know, there's some honesty there. You know,
Well, there you go.
that's some honesty. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's because we were a bunch of 20-year-olds animating a movie. I actually find that very refreshing because as much as I like the Marvel movies and just a bunch of stuff where, you know, it's clearly been through like a whole bunch of like levels of corporate control, you know, making sure that nothing offensive is said, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, the racy jokes are just racy to the point where no one's going to be offended. There's some kind of wonderfulness where it's just like, yeah, so we were just animating this movie and crazy stuff happened. You're like, wow. Huh. So that's what it looks like when there's not so many levels of, you know, control happening in a production. That's actually kind of nice.
Yep.
Hmm?
sweet. Like, we just want to have fun doing something that we want to have fun with.
And that's why I like
Right.
Project A-ko, where it was... A-ko and B-ko are fighting each other through town. All sorts of stuff is blowing up. The alien invasion is coming in through the atmosphere. And B-ko's female thugs grab C-ko to go flying off, and I know it's not magical, but it feels magical. They're magical, pink, pedal-driven helicopter with wings. There's nothing else in the whole movie that resembles this ridiculous device that they go flying off into the sky in. And you just think to yourself, there's a bunch of drunk 20-year-olds chain smoking in a warehouse somewhere animating this, and they're just going like, dude, put the big chick on pedals and power it that way. And everyone's going like, I'm into it. You know, like,
Oh,
then they crush a beer can on their head. Throw me another brewski. You know, and then they say, how ridiculous do you want it? Let's make it pink. How pink? Pastel pink. So not like Barbie pink. Oh, no, we're not going down that Barbie direction. We're going Easter pink on, or was it yellow? I think it was pink. I'm fairly certain it was pink. But it was some like really pastel-y, like Easter bunny color. You're just like watching this, going like, what is happening? How did that end up in the movie? And then you're like, wait a minute. How could that not end up in the movie? It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's so absurd. It's beautiful. I'm not going to do the old guy thing of going like, my cartoons and the old shows are better than all the new stuff. I don't believe that for an instant. I do not believe that for an instant. I think every time period has its strengths and its weaknesses. But there's something about this time period with the absurdity that made it up on screen. You know, that was, to me, magical. Everyone else can completely disagree. That's fine. That's your place if that's what you want to do. There was something about 1985 to about 90, 91, 92. There was sort of this sweet spot where they hadn't quite got all the full-blown dark cynicism that anime had during, and not that it was all that way in the 90s, but there was definitely like this darker brand of stuff that came out in the 90s. And the early 80s to the 70s, which was awesome, by the way, but had sort of that still 60s, 70s sort of feeling left in it, which was great. But there was just something about this time period where it was like there was this weird moment about 5 or 6 years where they were like, no, it can be a little naughty, it can be a little violent, but it still has to be kind of shockingly cute and absurd at the same time. And you're like, yeah, it's almost like the juxtaposition was sort of like that sweet-sour combination where they got it, the mixture just right. And then, I don't know what happened, it changed, like, all of a sudden. Like, after about, I'm not saying the stuff didn't exist anymore, but something that to me felt like it happened about 92, 93, and I don't know, maybe that's just my imagination, I could be completely off. But it just felt like things just sort of changed. Some of it for the good, like some really good stuff came out. But there was sort of this magical spot where, like, it's like they finally perfected what was great about the 80s right at the end of the 80s, and it was sort of tailed and tapered off right at the 90s and turned into something else.
Well, I think it's when it started, like, things started becoming a bit more realistic.
Which I liked.
I want to say, maybe.
But yeah, there was sort of this very abstract style that the 80s had that was in Project A-ko. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts. There was some of that, like, 80s-ness in their designs and their facial. Like, there's moments where Seiko's face, essentially, she's smiling in this weird way that makes her look like a frog. It's completely alien from the rest of the way from the rest of the time in the show that she looks. She looks totally like a frog, and you're going like, I'm good with it. I am. I was laughing, blah blah blah. But you kind of go like, huh? Is there a reason why she looks like a frog? I'm cool with it. I'm cool with the fact she looks like a cute little blonde frog. I'm gonna judge. It's actually kind of why I like it, but I'm also kind of like, why is this happening again?
Peculiar choice they went with there.
I mean, maybe there's like a specific Japanese joke happening there. Totally could happen. Do I know what it is? I do not know what that is. It's not too bad. It's not. I think it's better than my last one, but it's missing a little magic. But it's definitely better than my last one. I think I did oversize the hair just a little bit. That is so hard to nail. We actually got a number of viewers today. That was nice. I don't think we had our normal people because no messages popped up. So, which is fine. And if we do have our normal people, and you didn't feel like messaging, I'm not shaming you. I'm just not going to do it.
I am on.
I'd just be like a total snot the whole time. I cannot stand watching those guys that are just act like a snot in front of the camera. I'm like, I grew up with guys like that in school. I didn't look back, so I don't want you on my screen. like, all right, because I'm trying to grow a newsletter. Again, not judging, but if you are interested, I have a certain amount of magic waiting for you right here. Do you want a schedule of upcoming episodes and links to missed episodes sent to your email? Then go to supersecretprojectx.com/ericart and sign up for my newsletter at the bottom of the page. And it is, in fact, as simple as that. On the same note, you don't have to. It's a free world, but if I interest you in any way, that would mean I'm getting a little better doing this. I suppose is what that means.
Appreciate it if you did.
All right, so sit back, close that duder on up, center him down. Do my Mr. Rogers bit of, that's not a pencil, sticking things in a box, which he didn't do, so I don't know why I call it my Mr. Rogers bit. Probably because I'm putting stuff away. That's gotta be it. All right. Everyone have yourself a good week. And next week, Biko. That's right.
Biko.
Which means nothing to people who haven't seen Project Echo, but Biko is coming. So, everyone have yourself a good week. We will catch you later.
Stay safe, drink water, have fun.